I've often said actually that I've probably had a better life because of my injury than I would have had otherwise. I think if I hadn't had the injury, although it didn't come as a light bulb moment and I suddenly changed, it forced me to change. And one of the things that a real benefit is that I have met some of the most amazing people that you could possibly wish to meet.
I think the injury definitely humbled me. It broke me in many ways, which maybe at the time seems negative, but I think is a positive now. That whole thing of independence, I've learned what it is to need people to get through the day. I had to develop a heap of skills in respect to that was really, that have enriched my life. You know, I've learned how to receive, I've learned how to get help, I've learned the value of saying thank you and please, and yeah, that's been really rich. Recognising that I'm not all powerful or capable, that life is not easy, I think has been an adjustment and a good one. I hope that I'm a humbler person as a consequence.
I'm not so attached to achievement, not so attached to being busy, a connection with the need to be still, and needing to realise, when you're in hospital, realising that when I'm in hospital that I need to learn to stay with myself, otherwise I just get pulled out of myself and get sicker. So that those really challenging times where I realise that if I don't go into my centre and don't connect with that still place, with something bigger than myself, then I'm really pulled down or suffer more than I need to.
It took me a couple of years probably to get my head around it, but during that time the external facade was that I was having a go. I became president of as I said, the Paraplegic and Quadriplegic Sports Association was then. We've talked about, you and I have been fortunate enough to represent Australia. To me, sometimes the elite side of it is probably promoted or acknowledged too much. I'd just like to see people getting in and having fun, whether it's hitting a tennis ball or bouncing a basketball or pushing around with some friends playing table tennis, whatever it might be. And we've both seen people who've come along and played some sport for a while or said, "G'day, how you going?" And they've got back into the workforce, or they've got married and had children, done a lot. And I think they deserve medals just as much as someone who goes to an international or national competition and does well.
I wrote a book about my experience, which was published in 2008, and that took me on a completely different trajectory. I discovered that I had a reasonable ability and a passion for writing, and so that was something I could pour my energies into. I think there was a sense of, okay, my idea as to what the future holds has changed, so in a way I've got a do-over. What do I want to do? You know, what are the things that interest me now? The fact that I was able to leave hospital and resume a life and to have a family life and to be a father and to find ways of making that work for me, I think I discovered a resilience which maybe was always there, but until you're challenged and until you're put in that situation, you don't really know how you're going to respond. That I had to sort of recalibrate my view of the world after my spinal cord injury, and I think it did make me value relationships in a different way, and it did make me appreciate things that maybe I would have taken for granted a bit more.
I'm so different to what I was before, in the sense that I was really, really negative prior to my injury, and like I said, I was out against the world and it was everyone else's problem and nothing was my fault, and just never took any responsibility. And since my injury, it's really changed me as a person and made me realise that there's more to life and there's more to people, and everyone has their own story. And I think that's what I like about what I do now for work, is getting to know people from all walks of life. And I just really think about people now and go, I wonder what they've been through and where they've been, and if they've got kids and how they're feeling. And so it's just that personal growth for me and my relationship with my mum as well, it's been pretty huge.
Through the grace of God, I got stronger spiritually, got stronger mentally. I spent doing the first 5 years of my life, reprogramming my mind, and trying to not trying to do things, but just reprogram my spirit, reprogram my thoughts, I think that helped me with my journey as in the chair, because I had a mission, I had a purpose. It wasn't go out and evangelize, anything, it was just live your life and grew, and still growing, not there yet, but
I think having my injury really forced me to grow up pretty quickly in terms of being a bit more of a reflective person and working out what's important to me in life. And those things that seem like such a big deal, or the real showstoppers at the time when you're dealing with those down days or those really difficult times, you get past those, and those aren't as big a deal further down the track. So if you can just keep pushing through for long enough to get past some of those initial hurdles, there's so much more to live for, and you can have a really full and rewarding life in spite of being somewhat different and having a disability. So I think if I think of positive things that came from that, I had to mature pretty quickly and really figure out who I was as a person and what I wanted to do with my life.